All right, y'all. So we here for our next interview. Tell them your name, man. Who we got here?
My name's Stephen Mensah.
All right, Stephen Mensah. Nice to meet you, man. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, how many kids you got, man?
So I have 2 kids. I'm blessed enough to have 2 children.
All right. Boy, girl.
I have a boy, then a girl.
Okay, and how old are they? What are the ages right now?
My son is 7.
Okay.
God willing, he's going to be 8 this year. My daughter's 5, turning 6 this year.
Oh man, so you got the ones that's right at that. They learning that, they learning the world, they learning things. That's what's up, man.
Indeed.
So what would you say when it comes to fatherhood, from your own experience? What's the thing that you feel like is missing, and the thing that you're kind of working on yourself right now? What's the thing you feel is missing?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. What do I think is missing in fatherhood? It's really subjective. I guess in my personal opinion, I would say the discipline in being a father, the discipline that you have to orchestrate from your children, so to say, right? So like, I think that fathers understand discipline as physical discipline, or they almost punishment, like how to respond to adverse behavior or somebody not moving positively. But like discipline more as in setting an example and not just do as I say, but watch what I do so you can learn from it. So
I love that, man.
that is something that, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize more and more. Like there's certain traits that are inherent through your children. When you get into that whole nature nurture conversation, you come to find out that like, nah, there's no way that they got that because I didn't say that, but they're watching.
They're watching all the time.
So
That's key, man, because they all, what is it? They always watch what we do, but they don't listen to what we say.
Indeed.
And that's the example is where it's at, man. I love that, because a lot of times our example, sometimes we got to check our example.
Absolutely.
We're like, I need to stop doing that. I need to stop doing that. All right. So next question for you, man. What do you think is, what have you had to like apologize to your kids for? Is there anything you felt like, because I know they're young right now, right? But if you're anything like me or any other dad, man, we're always trying to, get better or, fine tune our fatherhood. What's that thing where you're like, maybe not even apologize, but the thing you maybe had to change a little bit?
I apologize often to my children, right? So I apologize often to my children. I think that sometimes you're so close to a scenario, right, that you're looking at it this close, and when you have time, right, to kind of back up and look at the area through a much wider scope, your emotions and even your mental clarity on that subject might change. So even being back to discipline, being a disciplinary at certain things, right, or not having an understanding on why your child is reacting that way, you react a certain way, and I've had to apologize about that at times.
That's phenomenal. So you're in the space where you're trying to get that deeper insight from your kids, because just as much as they're learning you, you're learning them too. So we're growing together, man. That's phenomenal, man. I love that. What do you think is, I guess when you're talking about, that parent relationship, right? Like mother, father, but what's the one thing that you think as a father you maybe wish you had done differently from a parent perspective? Whether, I'm not sure if you're married or not, but what one thing that you wish that you'd have done as a parent perspective that would have kind of opened it up, and you, I guess the question I'm asking is the dynamic in your household and then between mother and father showing up differently as a father. So like, being married, or let's say you have a significant other, but they watch, like you were talking about earlier, they watch that relationship. But then as a father, how do you think that part shows up watching the parent relationship, I guess is what I'm saying.
That was a really good question. That was a really good question. I think early on in my relationship, right, not having an understanding about being a parent, and I'm of African descent. My parents are both from Ghana, so like kind of having this understanding of a male being the breadwinner, and like kind of sexualizing the role of a parent, right? I think that early on in my relationship, I was very stern on the way that things worked. You're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and as I've gotten older, it's not to demean either gender's role, but it's more about, in my opinion now, whatever helps the household is what works. It doesn't need to necessarily be gender specific, right? Like if my son grows up, God willing, and decides that, you know, the best course of action for his family is for his wife to be the breadwinner, and he raised that. I want him to know that that's okay if that's what is going to propel your family, you know, the best way.
And I like how you couch that, because when you're talking about a family dynamic, the kids are going to see that.
Absolutely.
And even in that space, you can still lead your household.
Indeed.
That's phenomenal,
Indeed.
man. I love that, because I think when we talking about fatherhood, we never get to the nitty gritty of what it actually means when you're in the mick and the mire of being a father. I love that.
We equate leadership to financial stability
All the time.
And you know, it's not
It's
just
much
that.
more than that.
It's so much more
It's
than
so
that.
much
It's so
more than
surface level. It's not.
Yeah, that's real, man. That's real. So when it comes to your household, right?
Yes.
What's a non-negotiable? What's that thing where you're like, this is where I lay down the law. This is exactly what we're doing as a family. Like, you're not budging on it, because that's where you lead from.
So we have two non-negotiables.
Right.
And the first one is loving the Lord. Like, I'm very big on like understanding God and knowing who God is, and like having to have a relationship with God.
I love
so
that.
That's our first non-negotiable.
Yeah,
like
it's the foundation.
Yep, foundation. Like we're not here without God. You know, we're not here without Him. So that's the first negotiable. Second negotiable is just effort based. Like whatever you're going to do, you're going to try your best at it.
Wow.
Like no, and listen, maybe even to the point that it's a deficit for me. Like even things that are fun, like my son, he loves video games, he loves things, and I tell him all the time, like, yeah, but like, are you good at the games that you're playing? Like, if you're gonna play these games all the time,
do
I
it
expect
all out.
you exactly.
Yeah. Don't have to.
Yep. Yeah. If you're gonna do a sport, you're gonna try your best. If you're not the best, it doesn't mean that you can't try the best. You don't know a subject on the test, try your best on the test and like get better. So like, effort is a non-negotiable.
I love that. That's that intestinal fortitude. That's that thing like, yo, you gotta get up and go do it. Don't half do it, because you want to do the best. Man, I love that. That's great, because it makes me think about, you know, even when I'm talking to my son, it's like one of those things where you always want to push them to move towards the, you know, push them to move towards the direction that's going to be beneficial to them. I'm always trying to help them.
Absolutely.
Man, that's great. That's great. Last question for you.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, God forbid, you know, we want to be here forever for our kids, but let's say we have to leave this earth. What's the one thing you want your kids to know? You want to leave them with? It could be a sentence, it could be a phrase, be a motto. It could just be a discipline that you want them to have. What's that one thing you want them to know?
So back to that God part of the conversation. Like at all times, like don't turn your back on God. Like, because no matter how far you get, no matter how high you get, no matter how low you get, that foundation will keep you grounded. And I've been through. I'm 30. I'm gonna be 34 this year.
Okay.
God willing.
Yeah.
And you know, as I think a lot of us have, I've strayed. I've walked two paths I shouldn't have walked to.
Yeah.
But my parents did a really good job of laying that godly foundation. So in the back of your head, like what people call that little voice, that conscience, like that thing that lets you understand that yes, I might be willing to do wrong, but like it's big to understand that it's wrong.
Yeah, you want them to be a part of that. You want you to be a part of that for them.
Indeed. I need them to know that, all right, listen, God forbid Dad's not here anymore, but I got to move like this. I got to speak like this. I got to be a representation like this. And it's not because Dad said it. It's in that book right there.
That's
you
it.
Just look at that book, you can be all right.
Man, I love that.
You know?
Man, I appreciate you, man.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
your interview,
Yes,
man. Listen,
sir.
y'all see it, right? Y'all see the dad gang, baby. Y'all see the dad gang.
Dad gang.
We'll be up next on that next interview, y'all. Peace.
Yes, sir. Thank you.